Night, a desert highway on the outskirts of Dubai. You can see the skyline lights far away, but out here it is pitch black. A driver slows down. Something is lying there on the shoulder. A young woman lying there. Her blood-stained dress is glued onto her body. A crushed spine. Both of her legs are broken. She's barely breathing at all. The girl has no phone on her, no passport, nothing at all that would help anyone figure out who she is. Her face has been completely destroyed, but you can still tell that she's European. Police sirens light up the dark, chaos breaks out, and an ambulance takes the girl away. Doctors in Dubai fight for a 20-year-old's life. She goes through 3 major operations to save her life, and several smaller ones. Somehow, they put her back together. The police version sounds absurd. According to local authorities, Maria had trespassed onto a building site and fallen from a height. So, who is she really, and what actually happened here? Maria Kovalchuk, an aspiring model and OnlyFans girl from Ukraine, flew into Dubai on the 9th of March 2025, invited by people from the modeling industry. She was meant to meet important businessmen. She thought this was her shot. 2 days later, she was due to fly to Thailand, but she never boarded that plane. For over a week, nobody knew a thing about what had happened until she turned up here, beaten almost to death, damned beside a desert road. Only months after all of this did Maria tell her side of it. The moment she walked into that party, she understood what it was about. Rich men expected everything from her, literally everything. She pushed back, she said no, and that is exactly when they beat her. They took her documents, her phone, and threw her out, leaving a 20-year-old girl for dead. Maria is alive, but she's in a wheelchair, learning how to walk all over again. She wanted to chase a dream of a better life, the very same one somebody is always bragging about online, showing off the lavish lifestyle, the expensive clothes and the cars. How many stories like Maria's will we simply never hear about? This is not a story about one model, because the entertainment industry has been running an arrangement for years that nobody talks about out loud. We see young singers, actresses, Instagram girls, and they literally feed us an illusion of luxury. But behind all those tearful stories about talent, hard work, and independence, there is surprisingly often a sponsor. That is the fashionable word for prostitution, and today it is almost acceptable.
Expensive lady from TV, she is expensive, she is on TV.
Some Polish celebrities take $5,000 for a night.
This is an exceptional kind of whoring because the ones doing it are the girls. A significant part of Polish women from show business, actresses, singers, influencers, models, and Instagram celebrities.
On one side, you have the girls who got drunk on the vision of a better life and on an obsession with fame. On the other side, you have the middlemen, former models, managers, sometimes even their own close friends, people who connect these naive girls with men who simply have the money. Sheikhs, chief executives, and sometimes playing criminals who turn tragedy into entertainment. And there are other groups here too. Media outlets scared of lawsuits, labels and agencies sweeping all of this filth under the rug, plus the police and the politicians who see no problem with any of it. For years, hardly anyone wanted to say this out loud, but the truth finally leaked. Investigative journalists like Piotr Krysiak and Marcin Margilewski describe the inner workings of luxury prostitution in their books. On top of that, you have the anonymous bloggers behind Tag the Sponsor, guys who posed as millionaires to expose the influencers and models who agreed to sell themselves. They show the whole world screenshots that turn your stomach. And on top of all that, we have the stories from former models. So let us try to put all of this together. Imagine you run a modeling agency. On Instagram, you spot a young girl. Beautiful, bold photos. You can tell she dreams about a career, so she's the perfect product. You send her a quick message. Hi, I'm looking for a hostess for an event in Dubai. So, 5 days for $10,000? Are you interested? The girl sees $10,000 for one single week away on a luxury trip. Flights and hotel are thrown in for free. She tells herself it is only about keeping rich guests company at parties. Why does no red light go off in a girl's head? The algorithms feed her dozens of influencers a day, telling her you would have to be stupid to work a normal job. So to her, damn, this sounds more like the adventure of a lifetime. Especially when the idols she follows keep confirming it.
So how much on OnlyFans?
$3,000.
And did you work somewhere?
I worked at a preschool and a nursery.
Just go and marry some rich prick who will take care of you.
Do you think women in music are treated fairly?
I think, not quite. My music lands differently than Olivka's because far fewer men want Olivka. Men who hear her sing about giving head and think she really does it.
And what is not tolerated here?
That is how they recruited the Dubai girls, because that is what this got called. Back in 2014, in Poland, when a scandal broke and it came out that Polish models, celebrities, and pageant finalists were flying around the world to serve the most disgusting fantasies of millionaires. One organizer was Emilia Pisel, a Polish beauty pageant runner-up, along with Joanna Borisewicz, the daughter of the frontman of one of Poland's biggest rock bands. Girls who were known from magazine covers. Emilia testified that she told these girls very clearly it was about sex. If the sponsor says no, you fly home. And if he likes you, then there are bonuses. And let us add that many of these girls had boyfriends, even husbands and children. At home they said they were going to a photo shoot or a fashion show. The rates varied depending on the class of the girl, but the basic one we were able to read about was €1,000 a day, plus a €1,500 bonus for sex. Piotr Krysiak got hold of different rates, which according to him were €500 for the trip and the same again for going to bed with someone. But on top of that, the girls also got presents, jewelry, handbags. The top celebrities could demand far larger sums. The record that came out was €200,000 for a single trip. It turned out the client that time was a Saudi prince. Krysiak also describes the brother of the king of Morocco, who spent over $4.5 million on girls brought in from Poland across 11 years. He kept a private harem on his own estates. The Polish girls claimed that he paid them simply for being present, and that sex was treated as just an added attraction. And to be fair, it is worth adding that men were selling themselves too. They were in high demand among politicians, businessmen and priests, often at even higher average rates. For years, hardly anyone wanted to talk about prostitution among public figures. Record labels, modeling agencies, and celebrity managers buried this kind of information effectively. But lately, a lot of voices have said the real problem is how rotten this industry is.
There is a specialized group of pimps for stars like that in Warsaw. We knew about it 15, 20 years ago already, but then the girls started tearing into each other. That is part of what led to those scandals that got exposed online.
Polish actresses, household names over there, have said that the offers you cannot refuse, meaning a bed in exchange for a role, are simply the norm in this business. What is more, one of them went for brutal honesty and admitted that she had taken those offers herself more than once. She said nobody forced her into anything and that if she felt like it, she went to the hotel. If she did not, she walked out. She also criticized the actresses who start talking publicly about those bad experiences years later and turn it into a scandal. Even one of Poland's best-known actors, a face you would know from Netflix, said that years ago a man from the film industry offered him a part. Obviously we know in exchange for what. That kind of casting still happens. It is just that everyone is scared to say it out loud, in case it destroys their career. And yet, I really do think it would be a good thing to show young aspiring artists what all of this actually looks like from the inside. There are of course artists out there who go their own way and refuse to sign all of those slave contracts with the big labels. They keep their distance from the arrangements, and they succeed on their own terms. But that is a far rarer and harder road. So what we are looking at here is show arrangements instead of show business. And while in Poland you can see the literal prostitution of celebrities, the international examples show a different practice. Manufacturing stars through hypersexualizing female artists. The more you show, the faster you rise. A very interesting example here is Sabrina Carpenter. This American singer is 26 today, and she started out as a Disney Channel kid. She appeared in a series playing a rebellious teenager called Maya, and at the same time she was recording innocent songs about her first crushes. That matters, because we need to see the contrast with the way her career went from there. For several years, Sabrina was a fairly niche artist. Her fans were girls of school age. She put out 4 albums and played small roles, but there was nothing at all to suggest that she would one day become a big mainstream star. And then comes the real turning point. Sabrina goes through something like a complete metamorphosis. When her Disney contract ended, she switched labels to Island Records in 2021 and gradually started changing her look. Her lyrics moved towards double meanings and erotic metaphors. Provocative outfits appeared, along with suggestions that she had had cosmetic surgery, although Sabrina herself has never confirmed that. We watched public dramas that pushed her popularity higher and higher, and TikTok clips that pulled in enormous reach, which simply means that these were the things people wanted to watch. The labels moved on it fast. Carpenter became the support act on the Taylor Swift tour, and suddenly there were brand deals tailored to her new image. She started appearing in campaigns and photo shoots promoting lingerie. On the 29th of August 2025, that transformation finally hit its peak. Sabrina released the album Man's Best Friend. On the cover, she's on all fours beside a man's leg. Some people were absolutely delighted, saying it was incredibly bold, that it was the language of artistic expression. Others were genuinely hurt by it. A lot of women wrote quite plainly that an image like that sets our whole society back. And suddenly, a question appeared that nobody was able to answer clearly. Is Sabrina Carpenter a self-aware artist playing with her own image? Or is she a product of the industry? A girl who became its victim. The brutal truth here is that this direction is our own mirror. If millions of people did not want to watch drama, dysfunction, humiliation, and sexualization, the labels would never be pushing female artists in that direction. This is pure business, built entirely on what we actually want to watch. And now, just imagine one single thing. We take away every single restriction. 0 rules. On stage and online, you can show absolutely anything at all, and nothing happens to you. What would we see then? I think only then would we see the real scale of it. How much hidden dysfunction there is in society, how strong the urge to humiliate other people is, and how many take pleasure in somebody else's pain. What holds us back is a thin layer of social norms, the same layer that slides further every year. Other famous stars have talked about this too. Miley Cyrus, for example, who also started at Disney, said outright that the moment she signed with a label, she became the product and that she knowingly took part in sexual provocation. Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, the same mechanism. Although Gaga did it more on her own terms, Sabrina Carpenter's latest album landed at #1 on the sales charts in over 10 countries, and it is the biggest female debut of 2025 in the United States. Platinum on top of all that, a gigantic success that also lifted every single one of her earlier albums. The media stopped calling her a niche singer and started presenting her as a fully fledged pop superstar. And the concerts? Tickets sell out almost instantly, which is why they keep adding new dates, because demand outgrew every expectation. And this is exactly the moment where we see there is no justice. We see just how well that move paid off for her. Let us go back for a second to how astonishingly social acceptance has shifted here. There was a time when admitting outright that a girl or a guy had a sponsor caused disgust. Today, people envy them. The worst part is that these people then sit in front of a camera and tell their fans it is the result of their talent. They wrap prostitution up in fairy tales about earnings from being a celebrity, from the luxury life of a model. It amazes me how the whore and the thief, symbols of moral rock bottom, have become today's heroes and idols.
We are going to talk about a scandal that was silenced very fast by the famed MMA Federation there. One of the contestants got an offer of paid shopping in exchange for sexual services. That girl agreed to absolutely everything, and the whole thing came out very fast. The Federation deleted that entire conversation. For me, it is terrifying that young girls today want to sleep with someone in exchange for some products.
A survey out of the United States last year showed that 57% of Gen Z would like to become an influencer. Back home, the most recent one I found is from 2021, and back then, 48% of Polish girls aged 10 to 15 dreamed of a career as an influencer. It is hard to blame them. They can see their internet idols driving Lamborghinis, waving around $10,000 handbags, and spending their holidays in the Maldives. Lying, obviously, that this money comes from a contract advertising perfume. We adults know the numbers do not add up, but the kids. More than one teenager has said they want to be a celebrity, because celebrities do nothing on have piles of money. And it is terrifying that whole new generations are being raised up inside that completely false belief. And this is where the other side shows up, the defenders, the ones who will say what exactly is your problem. Her body, her business, and sex work is work as well. Maybe you noticed that part of the movement fought to retire the word prostitute and won. Today, the polite term is sex worker, and nobody remembers what it replaced. On top of that come the accusations that talking about influencers like this comes from envy. Fair enough, I have had all sorts of offers, but nobody has invited me to Dubai yet, so maybe there is something in it. To put it briefly, plenty of women and men have found their footing beautifully with a sponsor, and honestly, fine by me. Let them enter whatever arrangements they want. Just let us not lie to the rest of society that this is some kind of a wonderful life, because it really is not. Sadly, you only ever get to hear the truth about it when you actually talk to these people, one-on-one, people who chose to live this way. Addictions appear, and then a wrecked psyche. Because how long can you pretend that gifts or money will ever replace your dignity or love? Another serious problem here is the absence of any proof and of actual names. Piotr Krysiak's book did not point the finger at anyone, it simply described the practice, but no list of celebrities who really live off prostitution suddenly appeared. So now everyone is going to play the saint. You also cannot just accuse somebody in the media, because it would end in court. And where are we supposed to get hard evidence? Nobody issued a receipt for services like that. So it comes down to one person's word against another's, and we are left with suspicions. As an audience, we guess, we just have no certainty. So we can only focus on what this phenomenon looks like and how the mechanism works, instead of pointing at one person, which obviously has value too. Let us look at how this works right now. You hear less and less about roadside brothels, because everything has moved onto the internet. Girls do not need a pimp anymore, because all they need is an account where they sell their own videos and photos. It has simply turned into remote prostitution. The famous influencers went first, and hundreds of imitators followed them. Why go to work when you can snap a photo of your feet or your chest and get a bank transfer for it? In documentaries, you even get comments from these girls, genuinely surprised. Because hello, everybody does this. In a world where a mainstream tabloid urges you to go and see her hot photos, it is hard to be shocked that teenagers see nothing wrong with undressing. And those holidays in Dubai, obviously, I was joking. I will turn up my radiator and watch it online instead. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.